Good afternoon, everybody. This is Johnny Carciapolo with Focal Point Coaching, and bringing you another edition of Coffee with the Coach. So I'm going to hold up my coffee cup today. My coffee cup is who dat? So, from New Orleans. So let me see your coffee cup, Brandon. Very good, very good. So we're doing a virtual coffee. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to someone that's going to talk to you about something that you may not want to think about all the time, but you have to. And he's got some great ideas and some great plans in place to help you guys. So Brandon Cooper is with the Cooper Law Firm. So welcome, Brandon. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me today.
All right. So a little bit about Brandon. Brandon lives in Helena, Alabama, with his wife and 2 children. And he has been practicing law for the past 6 years. Primarily, the specialty would be what law, Brandon?
Estate planning and probate.
Estate planning and probate. So you see, again, I said you're probably not going to want to talk about it, but you have to talk about it. So, and Brandon's going to tell us why we want to talk about it. So again, welcome, Brandon. And let's just jump right into it and talk a little bit about your business and what you do and how you do it.
Okay. I have a boutique law firm, specializes, as I said, in estate planning and the probate. My primary goal is to hopefully help people get an estate plan in place so that we can try to avoid the probate process. My main goal is to work with families, especially parents with children that are smaller or children in college, to put a plan in place that will protect their children. It will preserve their assets, but most importantly, I want them to be able to build a legacy. So the goal is to be able to pass on their values, and that's not just their money, but they're actually the values that they have to their children, and be able to take those values and take those assets, but be able to help the community, help their churches, and be able to help the charities that are special to them.
Okay. So you said something I've never heard before, a boutique law firm. Explain what that means.
Boutique means that we can't really say we specialize. So boutique means that's my niche, I guess you would say. I don't look at criminal law. I don't do divorce work, injury law, things like that. I focus on one area, and my goal is to be able to understand that area in depth, so that way when somebody comes into me, I can be able to help them to the best of my ability.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. I just never heard that term before. That was pretty interesting. So law. What's the why? What's your why? Why did you get into law? Why this line of work?
So I guess people ask me what my why is, and it started about 13 years ago. I was in Atlanta on business. I worked for a company called FIS, and I was on the Northern 285 loop in rush hour traffic, and I was the last car in line. I was about a mile and a half from my exit, and the car behind me wasn't paying attention and hit me doing about 65 to 70 miles per hour while I was sitting completely still.
Yeah.
And then the car, the F-250 behind her, hit her so hard that she actually, from his impact, she ricocheted off me and went about 20 yards down the road. And then he hit me so hard that it actually spun his car around, so he had me pinned in on my driver's side. I saw the car coming, and my wife at the time was pregnant with my daughter. About 6 months pregnant, and we had my stepson who was 10, and I'm sitting there thinking this car's coming at me, and I'm worried, if something happens, what's going to happen to my family? I was 32 years old, and the last thing on my mind was that I was going to be in a major accident that day, or there was going to be some life-changing event that's going to happen to me.
Right.
Like most people, I feel like I was going to be 85 or 90 and die in my sleep. About 5 minutes later, I came to, and I was laying in my back seat from the collision. And the police officer that arrived on the scene had been, a police officer over 15 years, and he said it was a miracle I was able to walk away from that accident.
That sounds like how you described it, yeah.
So from that, I looked at it as I had a second chance in life, and not everybody gets a second chance in life. And so that's what actually got me going to law school. So I worked full time and went to law school 4 nights a week while working and spending time with my family. And at the end of that, somebody I know had lost their father, who was 37 years old, of a heart attack. And he was sitting in his office one day, just laughing, cutting up on the phone, and just fell over.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was the week of Christmas, and after that, I saw that um, it tore the family apart. They didn't have any plan in place. They didn't have enough money in place to take care of. And I saw them lose their house, lose their cars, and lose a lot of things. And it didn't have to be that way. And if they would have had a plan in place, things could have been a lot better for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the thing that it hits most of us that way, right? We think we're gonna be around forever. We think, we have time to do that kind of planning for later, and you just don't ever see yourself being in, that person that you see on the news or you hear about on the radio. So it's certainly something we need to all think about at all times, and understand that it is something that we want to make those decisions, right? We don't want someone making them for us. So kudos to people like you who help us realize we need those things. So if you could kind of describe your ideal client, who would that be?
So my ideal client is someone that wants to be able to give back to the community, give back to their church, and leave positive values for their family. So as I said, it's not just about passing on your money, but it's passing on your values and leaving a legacy behind that others will be able to look back on and see the things that you did while you were here, but also while you were gone. So that's what's most important to me. And as I said, working with people who have children, a lot of times, especially with minor children, what they don't understand is if they don't, like you said, if they don't put a plan in place, then a judge or somebody else is going to be making those determinations of who's going to be taking care of their children. And being a parent myself, that's a very scary thing to me. As somebody who doesn't know me from Adam could be determining who's going to be taking care of my daughter and who's going to be managing the money that I'll leave behind if I don't have anything in place.
Yeah, and that's right there. I think you said it right again. It's one of those things we don't think about. We think, well, there's family around. Surely they'll take care of it. Something good will happen. And what we don't realize is if the plan isn't in place, then it is a complete stranger that gets to make that decision, and that's not always. That's certainly not how we want it. So, again, great for that. So, all right. So we know it's a topic that everyone doesn't like to talk about. People don't like to think about. But if you could offer one piece of advice to somebody right now that's listening to this, what would that be?
What I would offer is, don't wait. People like to procrastinate when it comes to this. And let's face it, like you said, nobody really wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to think about it, but it is inevitable that it's going to happen. And a lot of times people want to say, oh, I'll get to it later, or I need to do this first, or I need that first. And this person who had the heart attack at 37 had been making those excuses for over 3 years that, oh yeah, I need to do it. I need to get to it. And then they never did, and they didn't get the opportunity. So I tell people, don't make excuses, don't procrastinate, just take that first step, get the information you need to make an informed decision and just move forward.
Yeah, good advice, because again, we certainly don't want to get caught in that situation. So, so for the people you've helped over the past 6 years since you've been doing this, what changes have you seen, and then or improvements, or how are you helping them? How do you see that relating to their everyday life?
So, as I said, my main goal is to give people the correct information so that they can make informed decisions, and then help them and motivate them to take that first step. And a lot of times when people come into my office, some nights they've had, loss of sleep, they're stressed, they're nervous, they're worried about their kids, they're worried about what's going to happen to their spouse, they're worried if they have enough insurance in place, and they don't know what questions to ask, and they don't know who to ask. And so when they come in and meet with me for our consultation, my goal is to give them the information, figure out what their family dynamics are, because every family is different. And I want to get to know each one of them in the family. I want to know the children and one of the grandchildren. And from that, I can give them some different options. And my goal is to give them the options, let them choose what best fits their needs.
Yeah. So what's the most rewarding aspect of what you do?
The most rewarding is my goal is I know that I've given my clients value when they have a peace of mind that they know they have a plan in place. And what I like to see is when they come in to sign their documents, and once they're done signing, it's like you can just see their shoulders just sort of dropping down, and that sigh that they have of relief that they know they have a plan in place. So if life throws them a nasty curveball, they know they've got a plan, and that gives them that peace of mind. And also, love it when I get a big smile at the end, and the husband gives me a firm handshake, and the wife gives me a big hug and tells me thank you. And that's the best part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know I've recently had to, think about that too and go through that process. And it is, it's not fun to go through it, but when it's done and there's a big sigh of relief. It's like, it's done. And now I know it's done and I don't have to worry about it. Nobody has to worry about it. It is what it is. Because I was one of those that always said, well, I'm not leaving anybody any money. I'm spending it all while I'm alive, right? So, they're going to have to fend for themselves. So it's like, why do I need that? Yep. There's not going to be any money left, right? Yeah. Wow. Let's you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you can try your best to spend it. And honestly, you want to make sure that I want to make sure, this is why I did it, that my wishes are taken into consideration and put in place, not somebody else saying this and this and this. So when you think of it that way, it should become a priority, especially if there's small children involved.
One thing I'll tell the parents is, if you're going out on a date with your wife and you have a babysitter come over, would you leave the babysitter with no instructions?
Exactly.
And they give me the look like, that's stupid. Why would I do that? And I look at them and say, well, not having a plan in place, you're pretty much doing that. You're leaving your kids with somebody else with no plan in place and no directions. So
that's awesome. Okay, so cool. One thing I like to ask people, just because I like to hear quotes and what how people's thoughts go. So I'll ask you also, what's your favorite quote and why?
I like to read the John Maxwell books and listen to John Maxwell speak, and he's got one that always is dear to my heart, and that is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's a great quote. It's a great motto. It's a great thing to live by, right? I hear that in the coaching world. We hear that all the time, and it resonates in so many different places. So excellent quote, and one that is everyone should keep in mind at all times, for sure. So we've intrigued some people. We've made some people think, hopefully, and so now it's on their mind and they want to take action. So let us know the best way to get in touch with you so they can give you a call to start putting a plan in action.
So they can email me at brandon@estateplanguide.com. They can visit my website at www.estateplanguide.com, or they can call my office at 205-314-4754.
Okay. And it really is, like, I can't emphasize enough. It's not a hard process. It's not, and the relief you get of knowing it's in place afterwards really does take a big load off. So stop what you're doing and call Brandon right now and get a plan in place so that you know that your wishes are protected, your kids are protected, and things are going to go the way you want. One of the things I always ask people too when they come on here is, anyone listening, do you have any kind of a special offer you want to throw out there for them, kind of to entice them, right, to make them pick up the phone?
So if they contact me and let me know they heard this what do you call it, podcast, you want to call it, I'm offering a family values estate planning consultation worth a $300 value.
Awesome. Very good. So that kind of walks them through the process and gets them ready to take the leap, right? Kind of tells them what they need to have and what they need to know.
So I'll give them a basic questionnaire they'll fill out that'll give me general information, and then when they come in and speak to me, it'll give me the opportunity to understand and get to talk to them, get to know them. As I said, my most important thing is to get to know them first.
Right.
And then from there, I'll be able to give them options and I'll be able to answer their questions. So that way, at least when they leave the session, they'll be more informed.
Right. Awesome. Very good. Well, any other tidbits of information you want to relay, or anything else you want to talk about as far as the business goes that people need to know about? Or
One thing I get a lot of people talking about is if somebody thinks if they have a will in place that it avoids probate, and I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that if you have a will that does not avoid probate, that just means that your wishes will be heard in probate. So,
okay, gotcha. See, I didn't know that. That's good to know. This plan, does it incorporate? It obviously incorporates the belongings, the will piece of it, the part for the kids. But what about like medical? Does it include? If you're in an accident and someone has to make decisions for you and all, is that part of this?
yeah, it's an estate plan package. So we have the will based package, we have the trust based package,
Okay.
and we have different options. I work with special people, families with special needs, children, and I work with older couples, that are looking at making some different changes in life. But all the plans will come with durable power of attorneys, which handles your financial side. And I actually do too. I do a standard durable power of attorney, and I do an Alabama statutory power of attorney. That way, if you go to the bank, if they don't like one, you've got the other one. It's just I try to cover all bases. We'll have the living will. The living will put your directives in place. If something happens, you're incapacitated, how you want to be taken care of. Then we'll have the healthcare power of attorney, which gives your spouse or somebody else the ability to make some medical decisions for you, like dealing with medicine, painkillers, things like that. We have a Hipaa form. A lot of times people don't know that if if you're an adult, nobody can get access to your medical information except for your spouse. So if you want your children to have access to it, or your parents to have access to it, or a family member, you need to have a Hipaa form in place. And so that's one of the things we do, is help them put Hipaa forms in place. And then another thing I do is I do a medical power of attorney if they have small children. So if they're going to be traveling, like sometimes I work with people who are going to be on missionary trips, or maybe they're just going, on a trip with their spouse, and they leave their children with their grandparents. So what we do is we do a healthcare power of attorney. So in case there's a medical emergency and the parents can't be reached, those grandparents will have the ability to make those life or death critical decisions in that time. And it's one thing that gives the parents another step that gives them a peace of mind that if they're on the road traveling, if they're on a plane flying somewhere and their child has an emergency, they know that they have a plan in place to get them that attention, and somebody who can, explain what they want to be taken care of, how they want to be taken care of.
So it really is comprehensive. It covers all aspects, which is great. And a lot of times people think those are completely separate things, or I'm doing this plan and all it is a will or something like that. So it's good to know it really encompasses all that stuff. Well, that is awesome. Well, I thank you for being here. I think you enlightened people, hopefully, to kind of open their eyes and really think about this and make sure they have something in place that covers all those areas, and it is exactly their wishes and what they want. Otherwise, someone's going to do it for them, and that's probably the thing that gets me more than anything, is some stranger is going to be making all those decisions and take power away from the people who should have it. So that in itself hopefully will get people in the mindset of let's just get it done, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for being here. Let's raise our cups again. I'll do another who dat for you. So
right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So make sure, everybody, that you take into consideration everything that was said, and that you just get out there and make it happen, right? So you don't want someone else making those decisions for you. And so I'll leave you with that on this Friday afternoon, and hopefully you give Brandon a call right away and get that taken care of so you can have peace of mind. Everybody have a great weekend. This is Johnny Corsiapolo from Focal Point Coaching, wishing you a happy weekend, and I'll see you on the next Coffee with the Coach. Thanks.